Coming up next on Headline Humboldt, hundreds of eastern Humboldt County residents remain evacuated as authorities work to bring the Six Rivers Lightning Complex fire under control. We'll speak with Sheriff William Honsal to get an update. Also, KEET contributor Ryan Hudson reports on massive payroll issues impacting local Providence employees as those very same healthcare workers take to the picket lines. Coming up now on Headline Humboldt. From the top of Humboldt Hill, this is Headline Humboldt. I'm James Falk. Thanks for joining us. Fire season strikes again. This year, the community of Willow Creek is under siege from a recent rash of lightning-sparked blazes that have turned into a complex fire well over 10,000 acres. The Humboldt County Office of Emergency Services, or OES, has been deployed to help alert folks to the dangers, arrange temporary shelter and food provisions, and manage the complicated relationships that exist between the numerous local, state, and federal jurisdictions that are all responding to this emergency. We sat down with Humboldt County Sheriff William Honsal on Thursday to talk about the fires, the response from residents and members of the community, and how people can help those impacted. So far, no buildings have been destroyed and no injuries have been reported, which is an amazing testament to the work of rescuers and firefighters who are working around the clock to stave off the worst consequences. We've seen so much dysfunction in government over the past several years, especially on the federal level, and it's reassuring to see that in these most vital of moments, all that politics and vitriol rightly fades into the distant background where it belongs. We're all actively witnessing how climate change can make our lives more difficult. Hotter temperatures, dry conditions lead to larger forest fires that risk more and more people's lives. So it's very good news this week that Congress has today finally passed a new package of legislation that seeks to address the climate crisis in a myriad of ways and will ultimately see carbon emissions from the United States in 2030 drop by 40% from today's levels. Now, the interview, Humboldt County Sheriff William Honsal described efforts underway by his office and other municipalities to save people's lives and property from the onslaught of the Six Rivers Lightning Complex fire. I'm James Falk with Headline Humboldt, speaking with Sheriff William Honsal of the Humboldt County Sheriff's Office. We're here today to talk about the Six Rivers Lightning Complex fire and the OAS's role in crisis management, basically. First off, could you give us an update on where things stand? I know that there's several fires involved and there's been lots of evacuations, correct?
So the fires are confined really to two areas. One is north and east of Willow Creek proper, and the other one is south of Highway 299, south of Willow Creek. Both these fires are burning in different directions, and we still have people that are in danger throughout Willow Creek and in that area south of Willow Creek. So we have immediate evacuation orders for certain areas surrounding these fires, and we have also some advisories out there for people to take heed, take warning that their zone could be ordered evacuated at any given time. So as we know, fire behavior is oftentimes unpredictable. We have the best people on this fire right now. The U.S. Forest Service has their incident management team, as well as working with CAL FIRE. They're looking at fire behavior, the weather, to determine where this fire could go. But it is their estimation that these different zones that surround Willow Creek still need to be under evacuation orders. And so right now the Sheriff's Office, California Highway Patrol, Trinity County Sheriff's Office is there trying to facilitate, trying to help clear those zones and evacuate and keep up patrols to make sure people don't go in there.
How many people, do you have an estimate on how many people have been moved out?
We have, I think I've heard a close of 700 people, 700 places, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Parcels, that kind of thing throughout it's a large section of people that and parcels that were ordered to evacuate. So at this point in time, we have American Red Cross that is established a evacuation shelter in Willow Creek, and we have, I think, less than 30 people that are there at this point in time. So people have either found another place, with family or friends, have gone to the coast, gone to a motel. Some people are sheltering in place and ignoring the evacuation order, which is oftentimes a very risky move. Mm-hmm. And so, especially now in the Waterman Ridge area, we have several people that are refusing our evacuation orders, despite going there several times in order and reminding them that it's a very, very dire situation, the amount of fire. And so we just want to make sure that people do heed those warnings.
If people go and they choose to stay in the coast, say, and get a hotel room, are there any subsidies for that, or are they on their own if they choose that kind of option?
They are on their own for that. People can go anywhere they want and obviously get a motel or stay wherever they want and that kind of stuff. So there's no current subsidies for that.
Mm-hmm.
I know there are, American Red Cross, Pay It Forward, Humboldt. There's also a lot of people that have provided some assistance to people that have evacuated. So it's very, very nice. That's what I love about Humboldt County. It's a small community and people are willing to help, those that are in need. And right now there are several families that are definitely in need. So,
but there's been no injuries as of yet, right? No one's been caught up in the fire physically. Is that correct?
Yes. As far as what we know right now is no one has been injured by the fire and there hasn't been any structures lost. So that is a huge deal. And the one thing that we can contribute that to is U.S. Forest Service, the local fire districts, as well as CAL FIRE jumped on this fire so quickly. They established a line around Willow Creek and around Sawyer Heights. And it was pretty amazing when I went up there and saw they stopped the fire just short of some of these residences. And the firefighters have really done an outstanding job.
You were up there how long ago?
I was up there 2 days ago.
What was the weather like then? And is it any better or worse now? In terms of heat,
Yeah. So what we're seeing here is that the fog along the coast has influenced the fire weather there in Willow Creek. The humidity levels have gone up at night.
That's good, right?
It is really good. High humidity is actually really, really good. It contributes to low fire spread. Mm-hmm. What we don't want is high winds, low humidity. That will create what we call that fire weather, red flag warnings, that kind of stuff. That is not something we need right now. Sure. The weather's been very, very good, even though it's been rather warm over there in the 80s and low 90s. It's able to cool off at night, and we're actually able to make some headway on some of these fires. So at that point in time, we had a lot of inversion layer, a lot of smoke and clouds, filling the air, so surrounding the fire. So there wasn't a lot of aircraft that was able to fly during that time I was there, but it has cleared up since then. The wind has kind of blown the smoke and the inversion layer out, so helicopters and aircraft are able to fly and either drop water or that retardant on those areas to help slow the fire.
What is, if you can, give us a brief summary of what the OES's role is in a situation like this? I understand that there's a lot of pieces on the board and the sheriff's office is really just one component, but can you describe how that system works?
Absolutely. So the Office of Emergency Services is under the direction of the sheriff's office for the county. And our primary role is to help coordinate resources and response, for disasters like this, for multi-agency responses. What we need to do is allow the different entities that go and fight the fire, but we're there to support them in their efforts. Mm-hmm. So the Office of Emergency Services, we have a lot of different roles and a lot of different aspects to it. Not just operations, but we're talking about logistical support, personnel support, financial, as well as public information. Public information is key in these kind of circumstances. Sure. So we're coordinating all of those efforts to make sure that the county stays informed, the citizens stay informed. We're able to push out alert notifications. We're able to monitor the evacuation zones and to provide real-time updates on what's happening out there. We're also responsible for sending out the Humboldt Alert. So people that do subscribe to that, which I encourage everyone to do that. I think we have about 75,000 people signed up for that service here in Humboldt County. So if there is an emergency that's happening in your area that you designate, either your work, home, or someplace where you frequent, when we hit on that area as far as alert people associated with this address, you'll get an alert on your phone. If you have a home phone still, you'll get a call to your phone. You'll get an email sent to you. However you choose to get alerted, to talk about and to advise you of what's going on in that area. So,
is there a web address I can give people to sign up for that?
Absolutely. HumboldtSheriff.org is our sheriff's office address. Hit the emergency operations, emergency services button, and we'll have all the information there about our Humboldt alert system, We have information on preparing for disasters, preparing for emergencies, whether it's earthquake, fires, floods, as well as information about Zone Haven. Zone Haven is also the service we use, web-based service, that you can identify where your evacuation zone is within the county and sign up for alerts, and then also know what we call know your zone. And because it's not that you just also know where you live and associated, but where are your evacuation routes? Because if someone tells you to leave your home, do you know which way to go that's going to be safe? And in fire season, it's very, very important that you follow the rules there that we tell you. That go this way and not that way, or rally, to this location. We have emergency shelters set up, in these different locations. So that's something that we could definitely use. We always prepare for the worst case scenario, right? And our current West Coast worst case scenario is the Cascadia subduction zone, right? And so that is the big one. And so that's what we're preparing for. So despite where you are in the county, whether you are wildfire risk or not, we're all at risk for earthquakes. So please sign up for those two services. Know your zone, Zone Haven, as well as Humboldt Alert. We need to know how to get a hold of you in the event of an emergency.
Now, one of the particular challenges of the lightning fire complex is that it straddles some political boundaries. I mean, you have Humboldt County and Trinity County. How has it been to work with, another county agency in this? And do you find that those duties are pretty well split, or are there any issues? What would you say?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of different conflicting jurisdictions here, and that's why the Office of Emergency Services is helping to coordinate all those different jurisdictions, because we have federal jurisdictions with U.S. Forest Service. We have state with CAL FIRE. We have two different counties, Trinity and Humboldt, as well as a sovereign nation, Humboldt, and we have Hoopa Indian tribe. Their reservation is right on the northern edge of this fire. And so it is something that we have to coordinate all those services, as well as the community service district there in Willow Creek. So there's a lot of players involved in this. And so that's a part of our role and responsibility, making sure that all the cooperators get together, that there's open lines of communication there, as well as contacting all the utilities, whether it's water, power, sewer. Every entity needs to have that information, and they need to also respond to us. PG&E is a vital partner in all this, because they're providing us information about power and shutting power off to certain areas, and so they, that's something that, again, we coordinate all those things. I'm very, very happy because here on North Coast, a lot of us get along well. We know each other. We've worked with each other in these emergencies. And so the U.S. Forest Service, CAL FIRE, the Trinity County Sheriff, Tim Saxon, and I, we all have regular meetings and talk to each other about these kind of events. And so we are willing to help. And as this fire spreads, maybe more into Trinity County, maybe they need more support over there. So we're going to send our people over there to help them, and they would do the same for us.
Yeah. What's the impact on, the normal duties of the sheriff's office? Do you find that you're having to send a lot of personnel over there, and is it impacting service elsewhere, or do you have just a few, folks who can manage that task?
Yes, this is a good question, because normally we have two deputies that are assigned in that Willow Creek area 24 hours a day. However, two deputies could be quickly overwhelmed when it comes to evacuating any area. So we have two deputies and a sergeant dedicated to this incident 24 hours a day. Okay. As well as I have a lieutenant that's in charge of managing all the operations over there. I have another sergeant that's dedicated, as well as my Office of Emergency Services manager, Ryan Derby. We have a public information officer. So all those people have normal jobs. They do other things. And then now they're totally dedicated to this fire. So this is the most important thing we have in the county right now. Other things are not getting done because we're focusing on this emergency at this point in time. So, but this is the number one thing. So we're dedicating those resources to it.
I mean, I hesitate to say it, but it's almost as if these are, there is a positive in these kinds of events, because it allows you to rehearse all of that, synthesis for that. Like you said, if the Cascadia subduction zone were to suddenly give, or whatever else, you will have the experience of having worked all these people and entities together, right?
Yes. Over the last couple of years, we've had lots of practice, whether it was the public safety power shutoffs, but we had fires last year too, the Knob fire, as well as the August complex. Yeah. And then as well as the pandemic. All that stuff has prepared us, for managing these emergencies. Yeah. And, We don't want them to come, but I think we're building our confidence there and also the trust. We want our community to trust us in our ability. When we say go, when we say this is what's going on, we want them to be able to trust what we say and also provide that feedback. I'm thankful because U.S. Forest Service is providing that opportunity to have community meetings as well as interactions, with some of the information flow, because we want to make sure the community is totally informed, and everything we do here is for our community to sustain what we have here on the North Coast.
At this point, is it too early to say whether, like Willow Creek proper is going to be able to avoid the fire, or is the actual, municipality at risk?
So right now, again, this is based upon my knowledge, and being in on the briefings, that based on the current fire behavior, we believe Willow Creek proper will be okay. The U.S. Forest Service CAL FIRE has done a great job with the line around, the Bigfoot subdivision, and we hope that it holds. We believe it's going to hold, and we want to see that containment line hopefully solid there in the next couple of days, so we can actually move people back onto Patterson Road and the Bigfoot subdivision. So I think honestly, with the great work the first couple of days for those first responders, I think that's what saved, the greater Willow Creek area. So we're hoping that those, like I said, those containment lines will be solidified, and so we can have people move back here shortly.
And the roads are all still open right now. The 299 is open, and
299 is still open, and at this point in time, it's going to take a real disaster for the 299 to get closed. The way the fire is, it's going to stay on the other side of the river, we hope.
Yeah.
But that's all, based upon conditions. If we had a red flag warning come in, it could blow the fire all the way across the river and start something else on the south side of 299.
One of the things that these reveals for people is that, despite all the feelings of security that you may build up over time, this can really happen to anyone, and often, at any time, whether it's a fire or some other kind of emergency. But if you were a landowner out there or a homeowner and you had some property, how would you tell people to prepare so that their property has the best chance of being saved in case of a fire like this?
So right now, we stress it every year, but providing that defensible space is so important right now. So important, because as the fire crews go up in the hills and they're looking at different houses and where they're set up, if they say they see 5 houses in a row and they say, here's one that has defensible space, we can defend this house, they're going to do that. They're going to write off other houses that have trees that are right up against their house and that kind of thing, because there's nothing they can do about it. They can't save it in time.
Yeah.
So oftentimes we want to, keep landscaping. We want to keep those trees and shrubs around our house, but they can just suck the fire right in there. So if you live in a rural community where you're subjected to fire danger, please create that defensible space. It is so important, as well as have a plan. If there is a wildfire, please have a plan to get out quickly. Have your valuables, in a place where you can just snatch them up and go, as well as if you know that there's a wildfire or a potential wildfire, keep your gates open. Last thing they want to do is come up to a property where they see the fire on the other side and they're going to have to get out their bolt cutters or some other, cutting torch to open a gate so they can get their fire engine through. Yeah. So as you're leaving, go ahead and do that. And but sign up for those services. Get the defensible space. And if you have any questions at all, a great website to go to is ready.gov. Okay. Ready.gov has a ton of information about preparing for any potential disaster that could hit your home.
Okay. And then last question, we have about a minute left. If people are watching this show or they've read it in the paper or, on Lost Coast Outpost and they want to do something to help, where would you direct them? You mentioned Red Cross. Yes. What organizations should they look to maybe donate to?
Absolutely. So right now, the American Red Cross has opened up a shelter. They're a great service. They're providing a great service to about 30 people that are displaced from this fire. So please help them. Pay It Forward Humboldt's another great local service that actually gets out there and gets gas cards to people, gets tangible goods to people. Yeah. So those are the kind of organizations that are really, really good. And you can also visit our website. We'll have some stuff up there too about who you should support. But those two entities, Red Cross, Pay It Forward Humboldt, will also provide you other people that are also helping with supporting this fire response. So we appreciate it. We don't want people just to drop off things. Because a lot of times people go, oh, people are displaced, I'm going to drop off a bag of clothes. That's not what we need right now. We don't need bags of clothes. We don't need any of those things. If you want to really help, you know, you can drop off money. I mean, that helps tremendously, and they can purchase things that are truly, truly needed, or ask those nonprofits, Red Cross or Pay It Forward, Humboldt, how you can help.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time, and thanks for all your hard work on this.
We'll be right back after this short break.
New York is a place that when 8 o'clock at night rolls around, the curtain is opening on some of the greatest performers around the world.
What's new? What's fresh? What is going to inspire the next kid who thinks, oh my God, I'm going to write a play?
Employees this week took to the picket line to protest Providence Healthcare, owner of St. Joseph and Redwood Memorial Hospitals, for issues surrounding payment for their work. Union members and their representatives are raising the alarm about stalled and at times inaccurate paychecks, an issue that has reportedly impacted a large number of their employees. KEET contributor Ryan Hudson has the story.
As California Nurses Association union members picketed outside Providence St. Joseph Hospital in Eureka yesterday, I got feedback directly from disgruntled staff, and here is what they had to say about the failed payroll rollout.
Missing hourly wages, missing time off pay, reduced base wages, missing differentials, and missing time off accrual. To correct these payroll issues, the administration advised us to open HR request tickets and to notify our core leaders. So guess what? The HR request tickets were ignored, and then resolved. But the resolution did not come with an adequate fix or retroactive pay. Double guess what? Our core leaders, who we were sent to tell about the problem, didn't have any authority or training to fix the system-wide payroll errors. I do have a nurse that was behind thousands and thousands of dollars that was having trouble meeting her critical bills. We asked them to make an off-payroll cycle payment. They promised us it would be made on Tuesday. We waited, and that payment has still not been made. I think Providence does not know what they are talking about.
Okay, thank you for that feedback. Thank you. And then what are your thoughts on the outsourced HR program, or, you know, the human resources? How is that impacting you guys being able to, I mean, you said the tickets are getting closed out without any real resolution. What can be done? Yeah, what HR? Okay. Yeah, thank you guys.
It seems obvious to many of us that have to interact with this system that is actually designed to not do anything.
Yeah.
Our first thing that we're allowed to do is put in some type of ticket. These tickets go into a black hole. If they are answered, they are often answered by somebody somewhere. We don't know where they are, that may have just been hired to deal with this payroll crisis and not know anything about our local contracts.
I did see that there was an HR manager is leaving tomorrow.
That's correct.
Okay, so that puts you at a further disadvantage.
Correct.
How many local HR managers are there after that person leaves?
We will have one remaining HR field representative, and I believe that they are going to send in for a few days a week regional manager.
Okay.
But again, we are not allowed to call these people. I can, as a union rep, put in a grievance to these people, but in terms of just having somebody to say, hey, look at my paycheck, it seems weird,
yeah,
that does not happen here at the local level.
There's no way to get a person to look at a paycheck like that?
Correct.
Okay. And then the other question people have asked me is, why can't they just cut a new paycheck here on the spot?
Oh, yes!
Why not?
Great question. can they not cut a paycheck right here on the spot? Right? Super question.
It's
They
legally
can.
It's legally required.
They can. They have a check printer in the HR office. What they don't have is somebody that can run the numbers to see how much they owe you. So on our first paycheck with Genesis on July 5th, there were many unpaid people that did not receive paychecks. They were in the lobby cutting checks that day. It is possible.
A lot of people don't understand what to look for, and then all of a sudden they don't get any money in their paycheck. In my case, instead of grieving it and going to HR or going to the union, which will take a long time because you've got to understand, St. Joe's does not want to work with a union. So they're going to drag their feet. And the National Labor Relations Board isn't as strong as it used to be and make these employers work with their union. So what I did was, when I found out a discrepancy, I went right to my manager. That I really came back because I want to help people. And that's what nurses do. We help people, and they're taking advantage of that. I work because I want to help. I don't just work for the money, and they know that. And so that's why they can take advantage of the fact that nurses we're saps, okay? What can I say?
Humboldt County funds held back by the state's Economic Development Department due to accounting issues were finally released this week. The restriction was put in place on March 4th due to the Auditor Controller's Office failure to meet fiscal reporting requirements, one of which was the much-discussed county single audit. The hold prevented the county from accessing grant funds intended to pay back various community groups that work with the county on workforce development programs. In an interview with the Lost Coast Outpost, Economic Development Director Scott Adair said the hold was lifted due to improved practices and communication from the Auditor Controller's Office. Elections do have consequences. New Auditor Controller Cheryl Dillingham recently took over for defeated incumbent Karen Paz-Dominguez. After much consternation and the gnashing of teeth, the city of Eureka announced this week that the massive concrete dolos that have long been displayed in front of the Eureka Chamber of Commerce building on Broadway will not be demolished, but will instead be moved to Madiket Plaza. Dolos are huge angular concrete structures used to break up waves before they can pummel shorelines and cause erosion. At a July meeting, the Eureka City Council voted to approve demolition if a cost-effective way to move the dolos wasn't identified. The city has sold the property on which the dolos is located, and the new owners need the dolos to be removed as soon as possible so they can start building their new hotel. Leroy Zerling, chairman of the Humboldt Harbor Safety Committee, met with city staff and businesses and helped identify a way to safely move the dolos to Madiket Plaza on Monday, August 15th. Councilwoman Natalie Arroyo was pleased with the development. Quote, "It's a perfect location that will allow people to continue to learn about its significance for years to come," she said. That's all our time for this evening. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Stay informed.